Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's Yes Talk, titled Spirituality in Education. Our guest speaker today is Mrs. Bharti Tanweer. I'll give a quick introduction for her. In a tenure spanning over 3 decades, Mrs. Bharti Tanweer has taught more than 10,000 students and mentored many teachers in various schools. She's a resource person and mentor par excellence for students, teachers, as well as parents. She's the director of Greenfield Public School at present. Through a holistic approach, her aim is to help students go beyond subject competency and academic pursuit and inculcate them with core human values, emotional awareness, along with a creative mindset. She aspires to prepare the students to be responsible global citizens through the understanding that everybody is unique. Bharti ma'am, we welcome you. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Yes platform. Look forward to a beautiful session with you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's a really great honor and privilege to be part of this talk. Thanks to Shri Aurobindo Ashram, Delhi branch, for giving me this opportunity. It's my privilege that I got to stay there in the ashram and meet Taraji and Rameshji and understand the practices of the educational outlook of Aurobindo. So when I was delving deep into what is spirituality and why we need it in our life, so the word spirituality, it comes from the Latin word spiritus, which we all know, which literally means breath, signifying life. The most important thing we have is the gift of life. It then follows that if we have this amazing gift of life, then we all have a way that it is being manifested in and through us. We all, as educators, need to develop spiritual skills in ourselves and in our children also. Spiritual skills are the capabilities associated with well-being, contentment, success, peacefulness, satisfaction, enabling the individual to achieve a state of being that is holistic in nature. Spiritual skills are the skills that make a difference in the human being, which mirror their conduct and performance. And the three pillars of spiritual well-being are relationships, values, and a meaningful purpose of life. So we need not live like robots and do whatever comes, but we should delve into it and look for the purpose of life. These are their spiritual qualities which we all seek, like positive thinking, inner peace, unconditional love, optimism, harmony, responsibility, compassion, justice, and simplicity. These are the inner qualities of all human beings which we have forgotten in this materialistic world, and that is the need for this conversation today. Now, while doing little research on this topic, I got to know the 3 C's of spirituality, and that is below Hanolan's definition of spirituality in his book Pathways to Spirituality, and he defines it as the 3 C's: connection to something greater than yourself, compassion or feeling with ourselves, others and the world, and contribution or service to the others and the world. That is connection, compassion, and contribution. These are the three important C's which are there in the Aurobindo's teachings also, and which our national education policy also focuses on. Spirituality is very much important in the student's life because children who have spiritual inclination have better mental health and succeed more academically and are more resilient when faced with challenges. And that is the role of spiritual well being in education. Shri Aurobindo said 115 years ago that Bharat was rising to share the eternal light entrusted to her. Bharat has always existed for humanity and not for herself. In Aurobindo's philosophy, there are 5 stages of integral education. They are physical education, vital education, mental education, psychic education, and spiritual education. According to Shri Aurobindo, the aim of education is all-round development of body, mind, and soul. National education policy by Government of India also focuses on all-round development, which we call it as holistic education. Yoga teaches us about mechanism of body, mind, and spirit called Panchkosha Viveka, which means 5 layers of our existence. These 5 layers of existence are Annamaya Kosha, that is the physical body. Second is the Pranmaya Kosha, that is the vital life force. Third is the Manomaya Kosha, that is mind and thought. Fourth one is the Vigyanmaya Kosha, that is intellect, wisdom, and balance. And the last one is Anandamaya Kosha, that is bliss, harmony, and expanded. So we are looking that we should be able to function at the highest level of the Vigyanmaya Kosha with the expanded awareness, for which we need help of spirituality also. So now telling these 5 koshas in brief, okay, we need to understand it little more in detail. So when we talk about Annamaya Kosha, so there is a small story in Taittiriya Upanishad, which is a conversation between the father and a son, who also happen to be Guru and Shishya. The father is the Guru and the son is the Shishya. So the Shishya or the son Bhrigu, he asks his father, what's the most fundamental element of this universe from which all the creation has come? And the father leads him through hints to perform tapas, that is inner research, to find the expected answer. And finally, the child comes with the answer that this entire universe is made up of Anna, which we call it as matter. In science, we study it as matter, and in our Upanishad, it was already mentioned it as Anna. So, this matter, based aspect of our physical personality, is nourished by the gross food which we all consume. We also say jaisa an vaisa man. So it is very important for us to understand that what all we are taking, what all we are consuming. The modern science also understood this. It has successfully explained the intricacies of this kosha, of this Anandamaya kosha, and man in search of this has started with gross eternal world of solid matter, which is simple and easy to see and to experiment with. This search led him to the elementary unit of universe, which we all understand, like elements, molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons in science. He further understood that it is all packets of energy, and these are controlled by the nervous system, electrical system, and chemical system through the hormones mechanism to bring about the movement and action in every cell. Thus, Annamaya Kosha is the physical frame that is grossest of the five koshas. Kosha. Prana is the most vital, which we say it as the prana, life or breath. The prana is the basic fabric of universe. All that is present in the three worlds rest in direct prana. As a mother protects her children, the prana protects each cell of Annamaya Kosha and keeps us healthy and alive. Without prana, can I take a short break, 30 seconds? Just some disturbance is there again and
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
I'm really sorry for this gap in between. Yeah,
Please go ahead.
yeah. So we were talking about the pranmaya kosha, which is the most vital, and it is because of the breath that we all survive. Prana can move into different body areas depending on demand. When we perform more brain work, we need more prana in the lower limbs. And if the prana flows to any organ, it increases inadvertently without any control. And it can lead to dysfunction if it can lead to dysfunction in case uh, we are uh, not taking care of it, because prana flows through the nadis, and we need to take care of ourselves. The next one is the manomaya kosha. Mind carries on different functions such as perception, that is man, memory, that is chitta, and ego, that is ahankara. Man, chit, and ahankara. Man is the active part that receives sensation, impressions, or which are gathered by five senses of cognition. That is Gyanendriya, which we all are very familiar with. Chitta is the thing which is perceived through the five senses of cognition, which are stored in our mind as impression. Chitta is the storehouse of karma or sanskara, which sometimes in Hindu mythology we say that we carry our sanskaras to our next life also. And ahankara is a sense of I, which is that I-ness in our faculty of identity. It claims these impressions as its own and stores them as personal knowledge or identification of ourselves with the outer world. That is Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha is our mental and emotional library, the subtle layer of our existence. Hence, this statement, you are what you think you are, is also very true. The next kosha is Vigyanmay Kosha. Vigyanmay Kosha is the fourth layer of reality. We all have two minds. That is, when the Manomaya Kosha said, it is beautiful rose, I want to have it, You started instructing your hands towards the flower, and you tell that it doesn't belong to me. So one mind is telling that it is a beautiful flower, I want to have it, whereas the other mind tells us, no, this is in the neighbor's garden. It doesn't belong to me, so I should not touch it. So the inner voice is the one which is continuously at all times guiding us, and a person who holds on to Annamaya Kosha believes that he is only the one second. Yeah. And the last one is the Anandamaya Kosha. Anand is the basic stuff of universe from which everything has been created. It is called Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss layer of our existence. It is the most subtle aspect of our existence, devoid of any form of emotions, a state of total silence, and a state of complete harmony and perfect health. While in Manomaya Kosha, the creative power predominates, in Vigyanmaya Kosha, it is the power to discriminate, which is dominating. Bliss is embodied in Anandmaya Kosha, the highest stage of evolution in the manifested existence is the Anandmaya Kosha. In this inward journey towards the ultimate, man crosses these koshas of existence one by one, from Annamaya Kosha till the Anandamaya Kosha. And through analysis called Panch Kosha Viveka, which is knowing through experiences of one's five koshas of existence, and the associated practices called tapas or inner research, man gradually becomes relieved from the bondages and construction of each kosha. So, when we have the thorough understanding of all the five koshas, that is Annamaya Kosha, Pranmaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vigyanmaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha, we can control ourselves and behave or conduct ourselves more as the idealistic human being should be. For example, Anandamaya Kosha comprises of gross elements, that is Panchbhutas, and their subtle elements, which we call as Akash, that is space, Vayu, which is air, Agni, which is fire, Jal, which is water, and Prithvi, which is earth. Their subtle elements are sound, that is Shabd, Sparsh, that is touch, Roop, that is form, Rasa, that is taste, and Gandha, that is smell. Pranmaya Kosha comprises of five pranas: Prana, Apana, Udana, Samana, and Vyana, which is a very deep study which can be discussed at a later stage. Manomaya Kosha comprises of five karmendriyas, that is Vak, that is speech, Pani, that is our hands, Pada, that is our legs, Payu, that is genitals, and Upastha, that is the excretory organs, and Manas, that is perception, Chitta, that is mind stuff, and Ahankara, that is ego. These are the components of Manomaya Kosha. Now coming to Vigyanmaya Kosha, it comprises of five Gyanendriyas or the senses of cognition, that is Shrota, that is ears, Tvak, that is skin, Chakshu, that is eyes, Rasana, that is tongue, Gran, that is nose, and Buddhi, that is our discriminative faculty, which we call it as the five sense organs plus Buddhi. So these are the Vigyanmaya Kosha's components, and Anandmaya Kosha comprises latent impression or the Vasana. that is the physical sheath in the body. So these are the 5 koshas which we have discussed in detail. Now, these koshas are very much important for us to understand spirituality as well as education, and how spirituality uh, is important in case of for the students and as well as for the teachers. So when we talk about spirituality for the students, that is very important, because children, when they they are in the school with their peers, with their teachers, they should uh, uh, they need to they get influenced by their peers. So that is the reason we need to focus on the students' spirituality also, which is the essential part of human life, which is important for the individual's well-being and the quality of life. Students' entire growth can be greatly aided by their spiritual well-being. So, according to research, students who feel linked to their spirituality generally have better mental health, succeed more academically, and are more resilient when faced with challenges. We also understand that yoga also helps us in this process of our mental health and mental well-being, and also can help us in focus and better concentration, and can help us to succeed in our academics. So students who are often under pressure to succeed academically and professionally, nurturing spiritual well-being can provide a valuable source of support and perspective. Additionally, a sense of purpose and meaning in life can be influenced by spiritual well-being, and this can inspire students to set and meet their goals. Spiritual well-being can also benefit teachers who are often under significant stress and pressure. When teachers are under stress and pressure, sometimes they pass on that stress and pressure to the students also. So teachers also must take care of their spiritual well-being. Teachers who feel connected to their spirituality can find a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that can help them to manage stress and burnout. Simple breathing exercises can also help them to feel de-stressed. Additionally, spirituality can help teachers develop empathy and compassion for their students. Teachers cannot come like robo and teach and go. They should have a lot of empathy and compassion. That is how they can give differential education to the students according to their needs. Although we do understand that there may be a large number of students in every classroom, but it is very important for every teacher to focus on each and every student, to understand their differences and give them that learning environment which is supportive. So it is very important to note that spiritual well-being does not necessarily have to be linked to any religion. Sometimes we think that spirituality and religion are one and the same. So it need not be linked to any religion. While religion can be an important aspect of spirituality for some people, others may find spirituality through nature, art, music, dance, or any other means. People who are very much into these fields like art, music, and dance, or love nature, they feel so connected to God. They might not follow any religion, but they feel very much connected to the higher self. Thus, educators should strive to create an inclusive environment that respects and supports diverse spiritual beliefs and practices. The students may be of different religions, different faiths, practicing different things, but the spirituality should be taught in such a manner that everybody should feel part of it. So it's very important to add a touch of spirituality to the curriculum. Like whatever topic we may be taking up in our day to day curriculum, we can see that how it is connected to spirituality, how it is connected to the general well being of all the human beings or of all the living beings, not only the human beings, of all the living beings and the environment. So, if there is a, let us say, if there is a topic of water, children can be asked to connect it to to the different aspects of the environment. It can be connected to different subjects. It can be connected to nature and why it is important to save water. The same can be done with many topics, whether especially in place like Delhi, we can talk about pollution and its relation with the other subjects, its relation with spirituality, how we feel when we are in the lap of nature, and how we feel when we are in a polluted environment. Children will also easily understand if spoken in this simple language that how what do we experience when we are in a polluted environment or when we are in the lap of the nature. So, incorporating spiritual well being into education can take many forms. It can take the form of meditation, it can take the form of some yoga, it can take the form of gratitude practice, or many such things. And gratitude practice is something very significant and very important, which must be taught to all the children. It should be sort of part of the curriculum in education. I mean, education is meaningless without gratitude. Nowadays, it happens that we take everything for granted. Children are getting everything since the time they are born, so they don't value or they don't understand the importance of the sacrifices which which parents have to do at times. So, gratitude practice is something very important which we have incorporated in our school, where at the end of the day, all the children have to express their thanks, that why they are thankful to their teachers, why they are thankful to the parents, or to anyone else, to the neighbor in the neighborhood, to anybody. So they can reflect upon the day which had passed and see what was good in it. Reflection is also very important for the students, for all of us, that we all must reflect at the end of the day. We all must reflect and see that how the day was, what good we have done, how we have positively contributed to this universe, and how we have made it a better world. So, if spirituality becomes part of education, if we start connecting our different subjects to spirituality, then automatically children will get connected to it. And in almost all the schools nowadays, yoga is there, meditation is being taught. So, such important practices, when taught in the school, will lead the students towards spirituality, and it will help them to lead a better life as adults, because sometimes it is a lot of childhood stresses or the traumas which manifest later on in the adulthood, which sometimes even cause some of the mental illnesses also. So when we are spiritually connected, when we think that there is some higher self which is taking care, when we think that whatever happens in this universe happens for some something good, then we can all then we can see the positivity in everything, then we can face the misfortunes also in the life. So if spirituality is taught in this context to the children, or spirituality is connected with the education in this manner, then hopefully we will be able to have a better future and a better world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bharti ma'am. Thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge and insights. We can check with the participants if they have a question or want to share something. Participants, please go ahead.
Uh, I have a few questions to ask.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for joining in late, ma'am. And I was reading about you, and the kind of work which you do is amazing. And I had a question about how do children see spirituality as uh, alongside of critical thinking. For example, आपने अभी बताया that how we can take the example of nature, water while explaining and attaching it to the idea of spirituality, and again attaching it to some religious practices. Students may question that why are few activities done in a way which actually harms the environment. So how do we navigate through that when uh, such questions are asked, such curious questions are asked from the uh, from 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 young children? Because spirituality actually, I think that creates a space for us to be more critical, to have questions, to have doubts, to be open about it, and it also strengthens us to maybe seek those sort of answers from our parents or people elder to us. So I think it definitely empowers us, but how do older people go about it, that we do not become contradictory while answering that?
Uh, Thank you. It's a really interesting question. The thing is that there are many things which we do, which because our elders were doing, we just follow those things without knowing the reason that why are we doing it. That is the main reason that when children ask, their doubts are genuine. Whatever they ask, their doubts are genuine. But many a times we don't ourselves do not know the answer. For example, let us say in South India, generally we put rangoli. A child may ask that why, even if it is little bit of rice powder and all, why are we wasting it? Why are we putting it? What is the necessity of it? But if we go into this thing, the practice, that why it was there and all, it was said that probably it keeps the house cleaner, and these ants and all, when they get their food at the doorstep only, they would go back from there. They are not coming inside the house. Or let us say, it was also that that we s- in it is also said that that God has uh, provided for everyone. So even for the ants and all, the food is being provided for them. So there is survival of everyone. So there is answer to, let us say, this question. Now somebody may ask a question for which I may not have answer. Let us say I do not know why it is there, but is there any scientific? Nowadays children want the scientific reason, not that let us say God will be happy if we do this. They are not happy with this answer. They are happy if the answer is given where we can give them the some scientific reason behind it. But if we do not know the answer for any of the things, such questions which children ask, we can also tell them that let's do the research and find out that for how long we have been doing it, why we have been doing it, what is the reason. Mm. So we will definitely find the answer. Sometimes when we listen to some of the great people, we come to know that, oh, this is the reason for doing this. And we never knew that that was the reason. We were doing it because we saw our parents doing it. And mm, and there are some children who have questioning mind, and many a times adults have the habit of telling them that keep quiet about it. Hmm? That how can you, let us say, question something which we have been following for years. So a child is not satisfied with this answer. So we need to find the reason. We need to have the patience to find, to come to know the reason. And many answers I have got in life because of such questions only. But we should never snub the children. If they have any doubt, if they have any critical thinking, if we snub them, then we will kill their curiosity. They will never ask us the questions again. I hope
Right.
that satisfies your answer.
Yes, it does. It does. And also on some public policy lines, I was wondering if you could share something about the new education policy coming in and the role it will play in the curriculum which the students would follow in India. So, what are the changes in regards
Uh,
to spirituality in it, and how education would be uh, seen from a different lens, or will the grading system will change a bit, and basically the overall perspective of it, just a bit about it.
okay. The new education policy is based more on the inquiry based approach, and it is lot to do with the problem solving approach also. And there is a lot of focus on building the 21st century skills in the students so that they are more analytical in their thought. And uh, the other thing is that, see, the knowledge, the the sheer knowledge is available at, like, they can check it at any moment in the laptops, mobiles. Internet is giving that knowledge part. So many a times children don't feel that much of necessity also to store that knowledge. The most important thing is to have the application based approach. So for that reason, while teaching, it's important to give experiential learning while teaching, so that they can see that how the things are there in the practical life, and they feel connected to those things. So that is the main change which national education policy has brought, that instead of doing large number of topics, they have reduced some of the topics, but it is more in-depth study. So that is one thing. And regarding the grading system, there are quite a few changes. We can discuss about it, but as I mean, that holistic report card has already come, in which there is grading for not only for their subjects, but for the other disciplines also, other co-curricular activities also, whether it is music, dance, physical education, or general discipline, different activities, whatever the school has. If it has skating, those things, all the things are included. There is a lot of reflection which is required for the student, because he also has to write over there what does he feel about himself. Then peer reflection is also there. One of the sheets in the grading system, when the report card is there, there is a peer reflection where they have to write that what do they think about their peer. And then parents also. So it's earlier the report card was what the teacher was saying, what the teacher felt about the student. Only one aspect was covered. Now in this new holistic report card, they are covering different aspects. That first and foremost is what the person thinks about oneself, because it's very important for children to be self confident and to have good self esteem, to have that self respect. So when they get this privilege to write about themselves, to write about their peers, then automatically that is also inculcated and developed. So this is in the grading system. Marks are not there, like you have already said, grading system. So there is marks are not there. And as far as our board exams, CBSE, that is on the percentile basis as such, like from many years. Percentile basis is that 1/8 of the students, top 1/8 of the students get A1, and the next 1/8 gets one A2. So let us say in mathematics, a child with 93% gets A1, and let us say in a language, in 85 also he gets A1. There is a big difference. So it is the top 1/8. So if and it is possible that mathematics paper was easier and language paper was tougher. Whatever the reason is, but it is like all the result of all the students, like that average is taken out, 1/8 is calculated, and then that result is given. Again, it is the grades given. They are the fail world has been removed from last year or last to last year from their report cards, and they have changed it into essential repeat, because fail word is very demotivating for the students. And in general, in some of the schools, we don't use the red pens for correcting. Just I remembered that red ink also, it tells the students as if that something is, they have done something grossly wrong. It demotivates them. So teachers correct with any other color except the red color. That is the other thing which goes. And yes, we are also talking about different types of assessments. That is assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. So that assessment happens throughout the learning process. It's not only that last assessment which matters, it's throughout the assessment process. It is possible that from next year we will have 2 board exams in CBSE schools. Because it has not come in writing so far. It's there in the discussions. It has come in the newspaper also, but till a circular is issued from the department, we wait for that before we say that. And as far as assessments is concerned, uh, the higher order thinking skills questions and competency based questions, that number percentage has increased to 50% for the board exams. And because it is in the board exams, the way of teaching is has also changed in the other classes also. It doesn't start in 9th and 10th that suddenly they will develop critical thinking or they will learn to answer higher order thinking skills. It's a long term process. It's a journey. Like small children, we may ask small little questions of critical thinking, and I mean, it will be according to their age, difficulty level would increase. And most of the questions which are there in the board exams are not exactly which are after the lesson. So it's important for students to have in-depth knowledge of the subject.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. There's a question in the chat box. I'll read it out. If you would like to answer, please see.
Yes, please.
Marcelo says, thanks for the session. Besides the practical implications of spirituality in education today, I would like to ask, how do you see bringing spirituality in education could meet the inner needs of the new generations, which express clear differences from the previous generations?
See, the I would say the speed at which the world is changing, probably there is a generation gap in less than 5 years nowadays. So when we talk about the spirituality in education, I think it is the inner seeking, and it is one's own journey which we all have to seek. It's not a, I mean, we can say a different paths can be shown to the children, whether we seek spirituality in some artwork or through meditation or yoga. It will differ from person to person. I'm reading the question again. The inner needs of the present generation. Yeah, that is something significant about which I would say that in a way at times I I really wonder that the inner needs of the it is such a fast generation which has to achieve so much in less time that that it is this itself is a question, that do they have the time to think about their inner needs. So, definitely there is a some percentage which will have. It's not that everybody is into that fast paced life. We we see so many youngsters also for different satsangs and those places who are really I mean looking for the inner peace and inner well-being. So it's a inner journey, and everybody has to reflect and find its own path. As far as education is concerned, we can show various ways which can lead to it, and that inner path can be something which was not dealt in the education at all. It will be your own path. That is what I feel. I had one experience when I was traveling from Bangalore to Chikmagalur, and it was early in the morning, and nature, like, it was beautiful, but there were lots of clouds over there, and I felt so much connected over there, and I felt as if the God was taking me from one place to another through the clouds. So sometimes we get those brief moments in life, or at times I so much feel, I used to feel, not now, but I used to feel a lot of connection with moon. And later on we do understand that there are certain days when it has lot of sort of hypnotic power can be there in the moon, but I did not know. I was maybe in 7th or 8th grade at that time. So I did not even know what is the inner journey or something, although nowadays we are teaching these things also to the children, that please reflect, try to go within, take long deep breath in and try to see within. But I wasn't aware of any of these things in my childhood. But we did experience certain brief moments here and there in life. So, but I feel it would be different for everyone. So, because it is different, it cannot be any perfect answer maybe for this. Anybody else can also add to it, because for the it's it's a different way for everyone. That's what I feel.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering and sharing.
I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that the video is off. I just noticed it.
Uh, Participants, if anyone else has a question, please. Okay, Dr. Bijlani, sir, would you like to share your thoughts, please?
Thank you, Bhartiji, particularly for telling so briefly and yet in such a comprehensive way what there is in the new education policy, which everybody is talking about, but perhaps because of the sort of sheer size of the document, very few people have actually gone into it in detail, or in fact, the size itself has been a little intimidating. They have
True.
not.
They
So
could
but
have
you
given
told
in
quite a bit
different
about it.
volumes.
Yeah. Let me start with the last question which Marcelo had asked. And as you said, there can be no perfect answer to that question. I'd perhaps paraphrase a bit and say there can be no universal answer to that question
True,
because
true.
every child is different. Some children, in spite of the system, in spite of having a lot to do, will pay attention to their inner life. They will have distinct inner journeys. Some children will not. The main difference, I think, in terms of generations is that the the proportion of children who feel this need for going within, uh, who have inner needs which are quite different from what were considered as the norm in the past, their proportion is going up. And this is only to be expected in light of the evolutionary thrust which Sri Aurobindo and the mother have talked about. More and more such children will be born. They'll start asking deep existential questions at a very young age, and that will sometimes puzzle parents. They'll start doing things which were earlier considered weird. For example, they may be talking to a plant or an animal, or sometimes even to a stone. And earlier, we might have actually not only been sort of amused by it, but we might have even taken the child to a psychiatrist for doing such things. Today, we also understand that a little better, and we realize that more and more children of that type will be born who will be able to see something in common, because of which they can communicate even with these other animate and inanimate objects, something in common, and that is that higher consciousness of which the expression is different in all these forms. But because
True.
that basic fundamental underlying consciousness is the same, some sort of a communication is possible with all of them. So these things now we are looking at in a different light. And uh, uh, if we have a little more sort of a relaxed system, as you said, which is also happening because the number of facts being taught is going down, the children will have some time, those who have this sort of inclinations, to go within and also pay significant attention to their inner journey. So, but at the same time, there can be no universal answer because uh, every child is different right from birth. Every child is not born at the same level of spiritual evolution. Not that one child is
True.
inferior to the other, but it's because of the progress that the child had already made in the previous life. Those who have not reached there now, maybe after a few more lives, they will get there and will be born in that way. So it's not that we have to grade these children in that sense. But at the same time, children are born differently, and the proportion of children who is born with this set of inner needs is going up. That's not a distinct perception. I'd also like that you share with us one thing which we had talked about briefly when you were here in the ashram. And that was, I posed this question to you that whenever we talk about bringing spirituality into education, we immediately start thinking in terms of value education, that is, telling the children what to do and what not to do. And that sort of a sermonizing approach generally does not work for various reasons, which we need not go into right now. Why not instead adopt the approach which Sri Aurobindo and the mother have in integral education? That is, we make the child realize that we are not telling the child what is good or bad, what is right and wrong. That guide is within the child. So make the child more aware of that inner guide, and also make the child aware of the consequences of following or not following that inner guide. If the child follows that inner guide, the consequences are immense joy and lasting mental peace. And the not following that inner guide, these consequences are a sense of guilt and recurrent uneasiness. And this also doesn't have to be told in this way as a sort of a philosophy of life, but this is something which can be brought out through the type of stories we tell, the questions that the teacher asks, the way we handle children's questions, and uh, exploit various classroom situations which would encourage this type
Precisely.
of discovery. And then you had told me that, yes, now we are moving beyond that sermonizing approach of value education, and we have introduced something like role play. So maybe you
Yes.
may like to talk something about role play, how that also has an approach which is quite different from the traditional approach of sermonizing about what is good and what is bad.
All right. So there are two things actually. One is the role play, and one is the experience which they can get uh, themselves. Now, like we said, that there can be something which can result in something negative. So, as a teacher or as a parent, we have to see that how much negative, if it happens, is all right for them to learn, so that they don't face something bigger problem later on. So, A small example is, let us say, uh, when children are small, they like to touch everything on the kitchen platform. And it can be something very hot, boiling hot, which can result in severe burns. And even if the parents tell them not to touch, they whatever we say no, they have to do it more rather. So if there is something which is not that hot, but which can give them a certain reflex action that yes, something has happened, they move back. So this is through the experiential learning the child learns that what the parent was saying, that is for the child to understand. The second thing is the role play. In the role play, let us say we we create a scene. In the scene, it can be that let us say a new child has joined a classroom, and in the classroom, nobody is talking to him or introducing themselves or sharing the food. He's feeling left out. The crux is that the child is feeling left out. This scene is created, and we just ask the audience. This is scene one. We ask the audience at the end of this scene one that how this new child is feeling now. So they can also, sometimes some of the children might have experienced the same. Some of them can experience this, that that what that child was feeling, because it is enacted. And then we move over to the second scene where the classmates come and they ask the name. They say, come and sit next to me. Or they may say that, come, let us share the food. So the second question now is asked to the audience that what the child feels now. And that gives them time to reflect upon the situation. No preaching is done over here. And the other children also understand that how they should behave with the new student. So the school where I was working before, we don't have any autistic children or even any other with any other disability. So one autistic child had to join, and everybody was worried that how the students would react to this situation, because it was not something which they had seen since childhood. This child was going to join in 7th grade. So again, we had a role play in the assembly to tell that some differently abled child has joined, and similarly, like something similar, just to make him feel comfortable in the new situation. And whether this helped, or children as such are very adaptable. Truly speaking, we didn't face any problem, even for the first child with disability who joined our school. So we were like that they have certain special abilities and they are specially abled. So with this thing we introduced, and it was helpful. Or it is also possible that children are very adaptable to the new situation and they were as such helpful. But many a time this problem has come in the school when new children come and say that they feel left out and not accepted in the group. So these role plays also help. Sometimes to tell the truth and all, like somebody has broken the window and some similar role play. First time we create a scene where this window was broken by someone, and let us say the teacher or the parent comes and says that who has done it, and immediately the child puts it on somebody else. But later on, we ask that how the child is feeling now. So we want them to reflect upon their inner conscious and think that, okay, like the child starts feeling little troubled by that he has spoken the given the wrong statement. And then we create another scene where he apologizes and accepts that this is what he has done. And although while accepting, he was what the child was feeling, but later on, how the child is feeling the next day about that incident. So these reflections help the children to think deep within and to stay more with the truth if it is done repeatedly in school. Generally, we have 2 assemblies in a week with the role play.
Very good. That's a very good development, because the type of examples in which it can be applied can be multiplied not only a new child or an autistic child, but even a child who say he belongs to another nationality, he has joined, or a child who is not doing well in academics, how that child feels if others start neglecting that child or discriminating against that child. So many situations can be there. This
Yes.
last question, last thing that you mentioned about somebody having, say, broken a window or something,
Yeah.
uh, that actually raises one more difficult question, which I have been asked sometimes, and I don't have a good answer. Maybe you can answer that. That in that situation, suppose the child who has broken it just stays quiet, doesn't confess, but one
Mhm.
of his other classmates, generally there's a solidarity, the rest of the children will not tell who has done it. But suppose one child picks up the courage and says that this child did it. Now, what should be the approach to that? Is this child doing the right thing? Or those children which kept quiet and out of this solidarity, they were doing the right thing? What should be done so that this child who's sort of the whistleblower, uh, he doesn't have to face the music from the rest of the class. So what to do in that type of situation? What the teacher's approach should be?
Uh, generally, generally, the child who tells does not tell in presence of everyone. He does not have that courage to tell in presence of everyone because he knows that he might be later on sidelined by everybody or maybe bullied by everyone else. So, so as a teacher, we don't reveal who has informed, or sometimes we pretend that we don't know, and just in the general search or something, we have come to know something, like, or we have seen it in the camera. So we don't tell the truth that who is the person who is telling. But let us say if it is revealed through whatever way that that child has only told to his close friend, and somehow the matter is revealed to everyone. So at that time we have to tell them that see, friendship and solidarity is also very important, because I feel that friends are the ones who are there with us in our good and bad times, who help us when we are feeling mentally weak or emotionally drained out. So friends support is needed, so friends are needed, but a true friend will stay with you, even and will also understand that this is not this is not the way to conduct or behave, or to trouble or to hide whatever the child has done wrong. But it takes some time to have such sessions to make the children understand, uh, because they feel that how their friend could tell something against them, and generally that friendship is broken that very day of. So probably that friendship was also not a true friendship, I feel, if it breaks on such small incidents. And sometimes when we give examples of our own life, that this is what my friend told me, told, let us say, my parents or my teachers, and I felt very bad at that time. And I didn't want to ever speak to her. But later on, maybe after 5 years or 2 years or something, I realized that it was for my benefit. Then, with gradually telling these things, see, one situation will not suddenly change their mind. But when we are constantly working on this path, probably it will help for some, not everyone again.
I think these are very valuable insights about how the teacher can handle it, and also brings out one more thing that no ethical code is of universal validity. Um, for example, when the teacher knows who has revealed it, still keeps it a secret and instead says that the camera told her, so she's telling a lie. Telling a
Yeah.
lie is the right thing to do here, not speaking the truth. That is one. So this again brings out why, I mean, no ethical code can have universal validity. Secondly, I mean, how when she's talking to the child who is uh, leaking out the secret in maybe privacy, telling the teacher in private that this is the child who had broken the window, then how she can balance, on one hand, encouraging the child for having the courage to uh, speak the truth and reveal it, because hiding what the person knows is also a subtle form of lying. So the child has spoken the truth. Encourage that, also appreciate the fact that the child didn't do it in front of the rest of the class, because friendships and solidarity is important. So sort of how she can balance that, and at the appreciation for both these aspects, and bring out both these, so that her interaction with the child becomes very important. And also the interaction with the second child, and perhaps that can also be done not in front of the whole class. That child can also be called privately by the teacher and told that somehow I've come to know, maybe through a camera or whatever, that this you did. And then again, sort of try and focus more on making the child realize how good the child feels after confessing, rather than on any punishment. That how the
True.
child was also feeling some sort of a burden till it was a secret, and now that the secret is out and the teacher knows it, then how light and nice he's feeling.
True. That is true.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
what look like major crimes to the child are actually minor things when we look at it from the adult world. So
Yes.
we have to sort of use these childish episodes which are happening in the lives of children as something to bring out higher and wider principles. And that is what spirituality is also about. So these are sort of ways of bringing in spirituality which has absolutely no religious connotation. And
Yes.
education remains incomplete without this type of an approach. Just teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and maybe these days computers is not enough. And even if we go beyond mental education to physical and emotional education, even that is not enough, because these are
So
again basically instruments.
much
How the
nourish.
instrument has to be used is what comes out through spirituality. So education remains incomplete about spirituality. So because of this confusion of religion and spirituality, let's be clear that there's no confusion. Spirituality is different, and the approach when it bring it into schools is very practical. And we let's be sort of fiercely open about saying that yes, we are bringing spirituality into education. Let's forget that hesitant and apologetic approach which has been the norm for several decades.
True.
Thank you, sir. Durjoy, sir, you have raised the hand. Would you like to speak?
Oh, yes. I just thought that, I wanted to thank uh, the speaker for a lovely talk, and yeah, it's not that, although I am an adult educator, teach in a university, but, I've never had the opportunity since a long time, since I left school myself, and then my daughters grew up, of, having perspectives on child education. And, the value of role play in putting these ideas and concepts, and to encourage children to think. I found it fascinating. I just wanted to point out that this the role play is now also very much a part of adult education. Although I have not had the opportunity to practice it, but I have been exposed to it in workshops. So even in adult education, where you teach medical students, for example, principles of medical ethics and professionalism, you have role plays happening. And I wish it would come in more and more, because, in many ways, adults are also, they are children. There is a
True.
child in all of us, and I think it will also benefit adult education a lot, through role play, where actually you're not sermonizing, actually making them face actual situations.
A lot
So
of reflection takes place actually. And sometimes the role plays for the exact situation which has happened. So, so it's not that we are directly pointing out at the child that this is what you have done, but the same situation is recreated, little bit change here and there, and the child can actually introspect at that time and can understand that what he had done and what he could have or should have done.
So I also think that, this would be another area for teachers, to develop in and to be trained in, and also an opportunity for them to be provided with material like, Dr. Bijlani is such a prolific writer. Maybe this could be another area where, role play scenarios, to help people create these role plays, these sort of things. I think,
It's
we have
only
to
with,
look at increasingly.
generally when I take any workshop regarding the role plays, we just show 2 or 3 cases, then give the situation, they create their own role plays, but then they become experts in just a day or two only. In a day, I should say.
Yeah. I think it's quite exciting for, teachers to be creative in this way also. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Durjay sir. Participants, I would like to share with you that the recording of this session today and all our Yes Talks that take place every Saturday are published on our YouTube channel, Yes Spirituality. We invite you to visit our YouTube channel and explore the vast content on yoga, education, and spirituality, and related subjects as well, like self help, psychology, and wellness. Bharti ma'am, thank you so much once again for sparing your valuable time for all of us. Thanks a lot for this session. Participants, I thank you for being with us today. We can close today's session with a moment of peaceful silence. Namaste.
So much.